Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it looks like Sony has reached a deal with Disney for Spider-Man content. We did a video a week or so ago where Sony basically slapped Disney upside the head and said, hey, we're making a deal with Netflix. They're getting all of our Spider-Man stuff first. Neener.
Right, but Sony's just inking all kinds of deals because they had the deal with Netflix, and I guess there was a 2-year bidding war on that one for like the first rights to their slate for next year. Netflix got the streaming rights first for that, but then after they get them, now I guess they're going to Disney. But where it's unprecedented is it's going to, they said the scope, because it's going to go to Disney Plus, Hulu, FX, ABC, Disney Channels, Freeform, and because of that, they're saying it's unprecedented scope of where it's all going to go. But in the end, Sony is making money hand over fist. They're thinking like $3 billion in these licensing deals.
Oh my God!
From a deal that lasts from like 2022 until 2026.
So, I mean, theoretically, Sony could make more off of their streaming deals than the companies that are running the streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Because
depends how much advertising money they get,
Yeah, I mean, we thought it was weird that, we talked about this in the previous video, they actually sold Crackle, right? But then they started cutting deals with other platforms because from their point of view, it might be like, hey, the real money's in the content. There's so many platforms. We're going to try to license out our content.
I got to tell you, though, I'm kind of wondering, why are they, selling off the rights to everything? I mean, I understand they want to get it out there, but I kind of have to wonder, is there, a money issue at Sony? That they're, selling off Crackle, and now they're signing off rights to Netflix, and then doing another deal with Disney, so right after Netflix gets it, Disney gets it. I'm sure Disney was in the running for the first tier.
Yeah,
but they didn't get it. And then I guess with Netflix too, they get first look for all the movies that they pass. It can go to then they can sell to other studios. So they're just making all kinds of deals. And I'm like, is Sony in trouble in some way? I don't know. It's weird.
They're overpaying for Crunchyroll if that deal goes through. Crunchyroll's worth about half.
That's right. Sony's buying Crunchyroll.
Yeah, it's worth about
half. Maybe they
didn't
pay for that. Yeah.
Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Netflix in general. It looks like the subscriber growth is flatlining. There's only so many people in the world willing to pay for Netflix.
But meanwhile, they just up their spend on content by billions.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I gotta wonder, 5 years from now, as these streaming services, consolidate and make deals, and is this a race to the bottom of the barrel? Is there a finite number of people that are going to pay for a streaming service, let alone 40 different streaming services?
I know, yeah. It's getting that it's every bit it's not worse than when we had cutting the cord.
Oh, yeah.
We had DirecTV, Dish, or cable. It's getting way more expensive than those.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that, and a hat tip to Kevin here who sent this over. Thanks so much for that. I actually missed that one. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe to Clownfish TV for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 185,000, almost 186,000.
It's almost 186. Woohoo!
Crawling. We're getting there.
They're trying really hard to make sure we don't hit higher numbers. So.
Yeah, it's so weird. Our views are staying consistent, but it seems like YouTube is not showing our content to people as much as they used to. We have theories. We've talked about that before.
So it's okay. We just work around it like we always do.
Yeah, we go start a late night TV show.
Oh, yeah, right.
We'll just go start one of those tomorrow.
Network, and then suddenly
our video views will go through the roof.
No, what always amuses me is we're going to, if there's news, unless it's reputable news sources, meanwhile, you can cover a story from the reputable news sources, but that still doesn't count.
Yeah, right? All we do is give commentary on stuff. We report on rumors. We're by no means CNN or anything like that.
No, we're honest.
but that's enough to get you downgraded on YouTube, I guess. So yeah, Sony Films moving to Disney after Netflix. So Netflix gets it first, Disney gets Sony's sloppy seconds. I guess it's better than not having Spider-Man content on your platform at all when you own the damn character. That's kind of awkward.
That is really weird, but yeah, so you have to go make a deal to get your character back.
So this is your article on Pirates and Princesses.
Yes.
Okay, Variety said it is an unprecedented deal based on the scope of the services. The wide-ranging deal, which runs through Sony's 2026 theatrical slate, also calls for Sony titles to run across Disney's array of streaming and linear platforms, making it unprecedented. It covers Disney Plus, Hulu, FX, ABC, Disney Channels, and Freeform. So
right.
everything Disney, all their TV.
Where all the light touches, then you can see there's the Sony thing somewhere along there. And they're talking like not just their theatrical slate, but like I think library stuff, like, you know, other Spider-Man movies, other different types of Marvel movies that I guess Sony still had rights to. And then other deals and other things in there as well.
Yeah, so Sony's deal with Disney gives them access to films after they go to Netflix. So again, they're getting sloppy seconds.
So Netflix gets it after the theatrical release, and then Disney gets it after that.
Yeah, so the Disney deal...
sloppy thirds.
Sloppy thirds. Well, no, this kind of reminds me of how it used to be with like HBO and broadcast TV. Like a movie would, you know, come to the theater, then 6 months to a year later it would hit home video. That was back in the day.
Well, they mentioned that here. They said that, you know, that they'll land on Netflix first, and about 9 months after the start of film's theatrical run. Disney is scooping up the multiple platforms, the windows previously reserved for ad-supported cable and broadcast airings of the movies. Right. So they're basically taking it, so they're getting it before it can go to other places for that too.
Nobody's going to care.
Inserting a step. I know.
Nobody's going to care at that point.
You know what? And they're getting all this, I'm sure they're paying out a lot of money for this. So you know what's going to happen, right? They're going to raise the prices of Hulu and Disney Plus to cover it, because Hulu, they've already pretty much, with their TV service, they've about doubled the price since Disney came into play, because we had it. Yeah. So we know. It's like almost double what it was 2 years ago.
Well, this is kind of how all of this works. Yeah, I said the library titles include the Marvel movies, the Spider-Man movies, Hotel Transylvania, Jumanji, Morbius, Uncharted. Well, yeah, because it'd be really freaking awkward to not have Spider-Man on Disney Plus, which is kind of weird now. I didn't realize, because I haven't really paid that much attention to what's on Disney Plus for Marvel, but they do not have the Sony Spider-Man movies. The Far From Home and Homecoming are not on there. But they do have the Avengers movies, because those are considered Disney movies. Right. You know, and they have Spider-Man in them. So
they'll get them eventually, but they'll first go to Netflix, then they'll go to Disney. Now, they will start getting some stuff from the Sony deal. Not these, obviously, but some of the things they might start getting on Hulu in June.
So it is going to raise, I know it's going to raise the price.
100%. Nothing. They're not going to pay for it. They don't have any money. Oh, we have all kinds of money, guys. But we're secretly going to raise the prices. It's like Disney keeps getting the money where they can get it. Those lightsabers from Galaxy's Edge, they just raise those things. They're already $200. They just raise them $20 more. God,
that's insane. And they're not even that good.
No, everybody kept saying they broke, like not long after. But it's the experience.
Yeah, the third-party ones are better. Meanwhile, you can go to Harry Potter at Universal and get a wand for a lot less than that. But Harry Potter's problematic.
But the wands you only can really use interactively in the parks, though. Yeah. They don't even let you bring the lightsabers out in the parks. You're supposed to keep them in the case, because you might bump somebody. Lawsuits.
I know, right? Like you're supposed to role play in the park, and you're not allowed to have a lightsaber.
Yeah, they wouldn't let people have them, and like they kept having the commercials of the kids would have lightsabers and stuff. They don't want you having those out. Like you do it at Savvy's workshop, and you're supposed to keep it in your container. I mean, you might be able to bring it out for pictures, maybe, but other than that, you're not allowed running around with your lightsaber, because they're afraid of someone getting decked and having a lawsuit.
God. Okay. So before we wrap up the talk about Spider-Man and Sony and all that, move on to Netflix and where they're at right now. This is kind of interesting. It was reported last week that Alfred Molina, of course, is going to be in the next Spider-Man movie, playing the actual, iteration of Doc Ock he played in Spider-Man 2. And a lot of people are worried now that they're going to ruin Doc Ock because he had a redemption arc. He kind of sort of died a hero, and they're like, oh no, they're gonna pluck him from that death and bring him back as a villain. I mean, I'd love to see more Doc Ock.
Is he coming back as a villain for sure? Or is he coming back?
I believe.
Because he could just be coming back, doesn't necessarily mean become a villain.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at all the villains that are going to be in this movie spread across, multiple versions of Spider-Man. And I'm thinking Sinister Six. Is that what they're going to do?
I don't know. To me, it seems like overkill. It seems like too many for one movie. Yeah. I think it's just going to be one giant cluster because it's just too much going on, I think.
Well, this ties into the Disney thing, because eventually, and I don't know if this is the last movie under the extension of the contract that Disney had with Sony for Spider-Man, but they're going to have to look at a future, probably without the MCU. And they're already doing the spin-off movies. They got Venom and Morbius and all that. And I have to wonder if this movie isn't going to be like the transition movie to we're gonna take Peter Parker out of the MCU and we're gonna drop him in another Spider-Man universe, and then we're just gonna kind of separate from from Disney. I gotta wonder, because this is not going to go on forever. It was a short-term deal. It got a reprieve. It was supposed to be over, a year or two ago, and they got a reprieve, and now it seems like they're definitely setting up, Spider-Man going forward, whether it's Tom Holland or somebody else, to take place in the multiverse,
right.
Spider-Verse. So, I don't know. This might be the last hurrah with Disney.
You think so, but Disney will throw money. They will, because they Spider-Man brings it. When they had the trailers out for Civil War and Spider-Man showed up and they're like, Underoos, everybody flipping lost their shit.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man's a big deal to the MCU. They had I still love it that his death scene was like, oh, I don't feel so good. They had this long discussion. Everybody else just disintegrates, but not him. They said because of spider sense or whatever. But everybody was like, oh my God, I'm sobbing. I just don't think they're going to let it go that easy. I think that they're going to fight.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, plus,
money talks.
He gets his own ride in Avengers Campus, too. And so it's going to be really interesting. But I have to wonder if Sony isn't going to, in their back pocket, be like, yep, this might end at any time. So we're going to build a back door.
I'd leverage the hell out of that.
Yeah, I'd be like, we have a back door. There's multiple Spider-Men across multiple universes. And you know what? If we're done with Tom Holland, we just start again for the fourth time.
Tom Holland is, I think, perfect, so I wouldn't change that. But that's just me. Not everybody agrees, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think Tom Holland is a great Peter Parker. I don't like that they make Spider-Man a junior Avenger.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right. He's a really good Peter Parker, but I would like to see him in a more traditional comic book Spider-Man movie. I think he'd be a really great Peter Parker, but I don't like that I understand they wanted to mix it up and all that, and they had to tie it to the Avengers because that's, where they're leading with it, but he just feels like a sidekick. I agree with that.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like his own superhero. Anyway, let's talk about Netflix. Again, Kevin sent this over, thought this was really interesting. This headline especially, the jig is up. The jig is up on Netflix as subscriber growth slows. And this is yesterday. This was yesterday.
Well, it's interesting because they talk about the vindicated analysts, because analysts have been calling this for a while. And then it kept coming out, oh, no, it didn't. And they're like, okay, well, now it turns out that they're right.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Because eventually you're going to run out of people that want to subscribe to Netflix.
I think it's streaming in general.
People are getting burnt out.
They're picking and choosing. Like, I know my parents, for example, they just canceled their subscription to Netflix and Disney Plus. They want to watch their Discovery Plus because they actually watch it.
We've actually, I'll be honest, we've been watching more Discovery Plus, I think, than anything else at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
I would say we watch Discovery Plus. HBO Max we've been watching. Squid King watches a lot of HBO Max. And I think the only one that watches any Netflix, I can't remember the last time I watched Netflix.
I watch Netflix sometimes, but a lot of times it's for they might have a K-drama or C-drama on there on a watch. Disney Plus, other than watching these, which we haven't even watched, Falcon and Winter Soldier and stuff like that, we don't even watch it other than a couple times watching those things. So we're paying for nothing pretty much. Pretty much. It's just kind of one of those things where you pay for it every month and it just kind of automatically drafts out of your bank account and you don't really think about it. And that's what they're counting on, because there are people, paying for America Online for years. I know. Years, like 5-10 years after they stopped using it, not realizing they were being billed for it every month, and they kind of count on that. That's kind of the business model. Yeah, well, I think that's shit, because they're not using it, and that they should have to refund them for that. Yeah, or they should every year send them are you still using? You have to re-up your agreement. Is AOL even on anymore? Is it even around? Kind of, sort of, I think. Well, I think under the circumstances, they should be not taking people's money. But, but yeah, they were wow, man, Netflix, we're watching Netflix drop in real time. Look at this. Anyway, Netflix's striking miss on first quarter subscriber additions vindicated some analysts' view that the future growth prospects for the company would start to dwindle once users started going out again after COVID. No, I think we're just running out of fresh blood. Mm-hmm. And that's why Disney keeps pushing so hard into India and stuff like that, because they know they've got a finite amount of users. Well, the deals with Sony were for Netflix and for Disney Plus are US only. Yeah. So they can turn around, Sony can turn around to other platforms, other, countries and charge it all over again there. So this is really damning right here. Netflix, they're in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Investors are demanding cash flow. They burn through tens of billions of dollars building the platform. So David Traynor, Chief Executive Officer of investment research firm New Constructs. I think people are going to start to see that the jig is up on Netflix. This could explain why
shows get canceled so quickly on Netflix. You know, it could be that they're like, okay, fine, we're going to, greenlight the show or whatever. If it doesn't perform right away, like we don't have the money to put into this. And one thing I've noticed is it seems like the individual studios that have their content on Netflix have to promote it themselves in a lot of cases.
Well, also it seems like Netflix has doubled down on the agendas.
Well, there's that.
And, many people are just, leaving for that reason. I mean, Anne of Green Gables, the books and what you got were two different things.
Oh my God, the show was. I watched Pinky Boo started watching it.
Well, the first season at least tried to be like the kind of, it got way worse, I guess, in the other seasons.
It's just like, yeah, and, but when it comes to cartoons, I had a conversation with Perch. He has a YouTube channel, and we were talking about Hilda. And Hilda, which is a very, very good show. It's produced by a smaller studio, though, and it came out at the same time that Dragon Prince and She-Ra came out, and it got buried. And we basically agreed that what probably happened was She-Ra had the marketing push from DreamWorks.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and in fact, their PR person was pushing Noelle Stevenson over She-Ra everywhere.
And Hilda got buried. So it does seem like a lot. Just because something is on Netflix doesn't necessarily mean that Netflix is throwing a lot of money at. We saw Tuca and Birdie, which was another animated show, got canceled after one season. I think if they don't take off right away, they're like, we can't. They're just fishing for hits.
Well, here's the thing, too. In publishing, the same thing happens. Unless it's built into your contract that they spend so much on marketing, it's up to you to market your book and sell it. I mean, so Netflix, because it's a joke, they greenlight anything. I'm sure they're greenlighting so many things. They're not going to market it. They'll promote it a little bit, but they're going to expect the creator to do a lot of the marketing because they take a lot of things. Well, one thing that I did mention before, too, is they're saying they're going to spend over $17 billion this year in in new shows and content, and I believe it was around $11 billion, something like that they had planned originally. So we're talking like a huge increase in the money they're spending on content. Well, if they're down on subscribers and they're hemorrhaging money, where are they getting the money for all this content?
That's just it. I think a lot of it is they're playing 3-card money. They're just moving the money around.
Now they're going after animation and everything else.
And they built some big animation headquarters out in Burbank or Glendale. And I think what's happening is they're looking for another Stranger Things because Stranger Things always brings people in and they can merchandise the hell out of it.
Stranger Things might not come out to 2022 now. Yeah,
so that's going to hurt them because a lot of people subscribe just to binge Stranger Things, and then they cancel afterwards.
Well, that's what hurts. I mean, that same thing hurts Disney and stuff, too. A lot of people just, subscribe to watch a show, and then they cancel. And even more people, sail the high seas for both of them. But Disney Plus, especially because it's Disney, they'll just subscribe to watch what they want to watch and then unsubscribe because they're like, nothing else I want to watch.
The streaming company reported on Tuesday it added 3.98 million new subscribers during the first 3 months of 2021. That came in sharply below consensus expectations of 6.29 million. Wow.
That's a big difference.
And plunged from the record of 15.77 million subs last year.
Well, you have to consider last year, too. People were stuck at home. And everybody wasn't Tiger King on Netflix?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, we gotta watch Tiger King.
Well, people were binging Netflix like crazy. We had our Netflix password stolen because they were selling accounts, and we never had that happen. We've had Netflix since it was disc only. And
we're old.
We are old. But we've been with Netflix pretty much since the beginning. And we never had any issues with them. And then last year they were selling passwords and junk. But he says the declaration marks the first symptom of more pain to come for Netflix, especially as other streaming competitors like Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Peacock have started. We have another video coming up on HBO Max that they're not doing as well as they'd hoped either.
There's too many streaming services. And people, are just like picking and choosing. Or like the other people are just, selling the high seas, which we don't condone.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are doing that instead.
Yeah, so it's look, this is the problem with this, and it's kind of the same with Disney where when you're constantly winning, then the bar gets raised higher.
It's target on your back, too.
Yeah, higher and higher and higher, and you can only go so far.
Yeah, they keep dropping. Now they just keep going.
It just keeps dropping. As we're recording the video, it keeps dropping. So Netflix, it's going to be really interesting to see where they're at, especially a year or two from now when these other streaming services have kind of found their feet. I think we're going to see some consolidation. I think we're going to see maybe 3 or 4 major streaming services, and they just kind of gobble each other up.
Yeah, I think eventually they are going to gobble each other up because it's just too much.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.